Championships for 2026. As I now see them, they must have started. They're coming over the hill and looking like Peggy Knox already established herself a lead over the top of this hill. Already a good 5-second gap over the top here. Peggy Knox has got a strong rider. I believe was doing well in the National Trophy Series all this year and has already stamped the way for a lead. And here we are for the rest of the field. It is awful weather conditions out here. Very sorry about the wind noise as I move down, as the riders come over the top of this hill. Hopefully we'll be out of the wind a bit more and you will be able to hear me, as Peggy Knox now has taken a good gap out the front. It is the wind conditions here. We are looking at 40-mile-an-hour winds today, gusts of 40, as Peggy Knox now with a gap already over the field just after the start as she comes around past the pits, and then we have the trail of the rest of the riders. Hopefully now we've come down the hill a bit, the wind noise isn't too bad for you and you could hear me a bit better. It is awful conditions out here. It is raining. It is 5 degrees. Feels like 0. It is absolutely freezing. As you can see, the sea in the distance looking quite rough out there. And all of the junior boys complaining about how cold it was. Hopefully bringing the best streams to you today that we possibly can for free, just from the phone. Hopefully getting a good coverage for everyone. It has been a brutal start for these riders today. We were also out here yesterday in the icy freezing cold. Probably nicer weather with the sun out yesterday though. Actually felt warmer and dry. We have got all the live streams up on the channel from yesterday. If in the break after this race, before the elite races this afternoon, you want to go and check those out, they have now been uploaded in a slightly higher quality for the stream that YouTube processes them at. We are only streaming at over 5G here, so hopefully the quality not too bad, but if so, like I say, all streams are re-uploaded later on in the better quality for you to be able to watch back later on. As you can see, the riders now headed over the other side of the course and they're going to drop down into that velodrome section before heading back up and through the quite deep sandpit. The front riders making light work of it, some slightly further back though, saying it actually is quicker to run as they're taking a lot of power to get through the sandpit and it's not actually worth it. A long sandpit here, a good 100-metre sandpit here. So a long sandpit for these riders who are struggling in the cold conditions. A tough course out here, especially looking at this off-camber with how muddy and cut up it is becoming. A lot of those junior boys are sliding down this bank and struggling on this corner. Hopefully the junior girls will have seen some of that throughout their warm-up and amongst their warm-up, and maybe will have taken some hints on hanging the leg out, which the boys were doing quite well. As we now wait for those riders to head up the hill and head into the sandpit. Peggy Knox already had a gap going up the first hill after a start of at least 5 seconds. Probably now going to come over the top and back down through with maybe an extended gap from the looks of it. But we will see. That second place rider was still chasing hard, and then a gap back to the group. A smaller field here today for the girls. Probably only 20 in this junior field. It is a tough, cold, wet race today, which will have put some people off. But as you can see, the pit's probably the emptiest we've seen them for this race. A shame, really, that we don't have more youth girls and junior girls joining in on the sport. As we can see, everyone here working hard in the pits, parents washing off bikes. That'll be from the junior boys race, but also from the female race. I've seen a couple of pits just on that first lap. Little mechanicals people have had. But it is very, very muddy and slick down here on the course. We are course side. We will be bringing live streams from all of the 4 races today, and they will be available to watch afterwards, like I say, and they will be uploaded in a slightly higher quality. If you want to be notified for those races later that we're streaming for free, you can subscribe to a channel. It is absolutely free for you, and you'll be notified when those races go live later on. Helps the channel out massively. But here we are, we can see everyone down in the pits there working hard as we are over here, and I can see Peggy Knox looking like she's pulled out more of a lead, looking towards nearer 10 seconds now as she's riding around and about to head down that windy straight into the sandpit. A lot of riders saying that that sandpit is so hard due to that headwind. Gusts of 40 miles an hour for this race, which are looking to die down later on, and the rain is looking to move on potentially later on, which would be nice to hopefully get some more spectators down for the later races. I know you can't see a lot at the moment. It is a small field, so it is harder to get footage from this one. There is a smaller field, so less spread riders and less to see. However, the riders now coming back up the little climb in the distance, about to head onto that headwind straight into the sandpit before they ride through into this field, and we'll be able to get some good coverage of them in this field. I believe a 40-minute race for these guys, similar to the junior boys who have just gone. Jacob winning that race quite comfortably actually in the end. He had a good 10-second gap, not without a fight though, with Milo Wills, who had a few mechanicals, and the second place rider who was chasing back hard. Peggy Knox looking again like she's got a 10-second gap, and then a big gap behind that second place rider. That second place rider chasing on hard, but a massive gap. Another good 15 seconds probably behind that second place rider as Peggy Knox works her way through the sand, looking like she's riding that sandpit. Really strong rider Peggy Knox is, doing well in the national trophies this year. We are down Zoe Roche, who was the last year's champion for the British National Cyclocross Juniors. She is off racing in Belgium, I believe, and has been racing over in Belgium, so won't be here today. The only person who seemed to be beating Peggy this season was her in that British champ jersey, but Peggy Knox already establishing a big lead now over the field. Like I say, a good 10 seconds, and I don't believe that other girl in second place was able to ride. Coming in for a pit though, perhaps not happy with her setup, wants a fresh bike, wants a clean bike. Not a bad idea potentially if you want to keep yourself good on the bike. Perhaps wanting some lower pressures, a better tyre choice. You never know. As they're now coming into this field though, as she's coming past the pits, heading up, still, even after that pit, with a good 10-second gap here as she rides on this off camber, making it look pretty easy with a big power being put up there over the top. And like I say, a good 10-second gap over that next rider, who has then got another good 20 seconds over the rest of the field to set to third and fourth place. As we can see, these riders in. Unfortunately, not a lot of action at the moment. Hopefully, in this big field, as the riders start to come through from that sandpit, we will be able to flick around and see all of the riders coming through into this field and hopefully be able to get you a good bit of action. But Peggy Knox really pulling out a lead now, especially after moving onto that new bike, potentially moved on to a full mud tyre and was running not a full mud tyre previously, or potentially just moved on to a lower pressure, which is helping her with the grip on these off cambers. All very tactical and can all help and make a big difference when riding in cyclocross, and she has pulled out a very big lead now as she is about to go up the bank over there and come along the top. Brutal conditions out here today, especially into those headwinds. The wind coming from the south, so as they come along the straight towards the pits that we have just seen, they are heading into that headwind, and that is tough as she comes into this off camber section and is just riding superbly. A real show of the skill here from Peggy Knox, and this is why she's done well in this national series this year, as she is about to drop down onto this very slippy off camber, which we saw some of the junior boys having a trouble with, but she is making absolutely light work of this. No issues, a nice wide line, brilliant work here from Peggy, hanging her leg out, awesome, absolutely awesome lines there. As we have the second place rider here dropping down slightly more, slightly different line, but we have seen a few different lines today, making very good work through that and light work of that. Really still chasing on, not giving up. Peggy at the front there, off and running just that top section of that, which probably is a gain, as in the junior boys I did see a lot of back wheel sliding from people trying to ride it and just losing time at the top there. SCF for that second place rider tried to ride it and actually lost time doing so because she wasn't able to get over smoothly. Sometimes running is faster than riding, but this headwind, especially along this straight here, is absolutely brutal. As you can see, the field are very well spread in this junior race, as we have plenty of off cambers, making good work of this real show of skill here from a lot of riders. As you can see, carrying good speed through here. It is a tough one. and it does cut out at the bottom. But as we can see, these riders coming through, and that wide line does seem to be the one that Peggy took, does seem to be the line, but they have held that up well. She has held that up well. It is really tough out here today. We are trying to bring you the best footage of these races throughout the day, and we will have all 4 races of the day live streamed, as well as all the streams from yesterday out there. So if you want to watch, if you want to look back on yesterday's races, they have been uploaded in a slightly higher quality, and we'll be trying to bring you the best free coverage we can today. Don't forget to subscribe, it really helps the channel out, and you'll be notified later on when these races are live for you to watch on the channel. As we can see, riders jumping back on the bikes, having issues. Oh, a rolled tyre there for that girl. That is unfortunate. That is what happens when the ground is slick on top and hard underneath. The tyre digs in and can roll off the wheel. As Peggy comes around there, really flying now. A good 15-second gap, and she has decided not to pit this side. Clearly happy with how her setup is, but a big gap now. The whole length of the pit straight, she is ahead already, and that is on the first full lap. As we know, they do a slightly smaller lap at the start, but here we are with the riders heading round in this field, and the front two now established a very big gap over the rest of the field. That second place rider has got a good 30 seconds now over the rest of the riders, and is flying off ahead. Or big crash on the corner in the distance for a rider, showing how slick the mud and conditions are here. The rain is coming down and has been relentlessly coming down throughout the junior boys race, and now this race, which is a good hour's worth of rain that we've had. As we see, this is 3rd and 4th place riders having a battle, hopefully for a good finish. Hopefully bearing no mechanicals. Looking like neither of those riders heading into the pits either. A lot of the mud here not picking up and sticking to the bikes, just very sticky and loose on the surface, slidey on the surface, but not picking up. So not looking like many bike changes, just sliding around. But as we have seen, there is a rider running now, as it is hard underneath. When the top slides, when your back wheel slides on that top, or your front wheel slides on the top of that sticky, slick surface, and it digs into the hard ground underneath on those mud tyres, it is easy to roll a tyre, especially on these off cambers. As we can see though, that rider running a long way into the pits, as Milo Wills had to do from the same position last time, and is really making good work of it, not giving up and showing strong racing. As we're going to move now over to a different side of the course, see if we can get some different action for you. Like I say, not a very big field here today, so hard to collect lots of action and always have something going on the camera without. But currently, as it stands, Peggy Knox in the lead of the race, established already herself a good gap over 2nd place, a good 15 seconds, and the 2nd place rider there a good 30 seconds ahead of 3rd and 4th. It is very wet out here today. All of the members in the pits are working really hard to get those bikes clean and do those bike changes, and all the girls out here really working hard. As we can see, that girl over there who has had a mechanical and is now running her way to the pits is doing a phenomenal job. She is going to run into the pits, have a bike change, have that bike fixed, swap a wheel, whatever she may do in the pits, and get that sorted. But this is a real strong effort here. She has not given up. She has ridden and ran all the way into the pits, and that is a good effort for a rolled tyre here. As we can see, still going, not far to go to the pits now, and she's going to make the change, and then she'll be back out on the course. As we can see, a long run for that rider there. A good half a kilometre probably of the course ran, but great effort to not give up on this. Real strong. A rider here trying to don't want those anymore. Steaming up most likely as this rain continued to come down. Here comes this rider running into the pits now. Awesome work from her, not giving up and making it into the pits. As we can see, the rain really coming down these riders, and they will be cold. They will be very cold as they take the bike, and they are running through the pits, and they are on the bike and riding. What a superb job from them to run that far of the course and still keep going. As we're now going to head over into the other field to try and get some more action for you. Like I say, probably only 25 riders in this field total, and very, very spread out, with Peggy Knox in the lead at the moment. So as we head over, hopefully we'll be able to get a bit more footage for you, but as I say, not that many riders, so, and that are very spread out, so hard to always have action on the one camera. Thank you. As we're looking very muddy around here, especially for these spectators. A good number of spectators out though now. As we can see, Peggy Knox that bigger lead now over that second place rider. She is really flying away, and he's going to ride this sandpit again by the looks of it. As she comes off that headwind section, there's a tough headwind section heading into that sandpit, but she is making that look easy, especially compared to even some of those junior boys. She has flown through that sand and has a good 20-second lead now over second place, as here she is coming round to head into that backfield. Brilliant riding from her as she heads round. She is flying through this race, but that second place rider this time choosing to ride that sand after having to run last time, and has made light work of that, and is now coming up and still chasing on hard. She's done a fantastic job and needs to keep chasing on. You never know what happens, such as we saw in the boys race with Milo Rules having that mechanical. You never know what is going to happen in the British Champs, especially when the weather conditions are like this, with these 40-mile-an-hour winds, with the rain. But that rider there has a huge gap now back to the third and fourth place riders. We are looking at 45 seconds to a minute's gap now back to those riders. As we can see over the course, we have a few riders, but they are very spread out down into the velodrome circuit that we have here, where the finish will be in about 20 minutes time. As the third and fourth place riders now coming into the sand pit and riding through that sand pit. As the rider behind in the blue there, really making light work of the first bit, choosing to go in fast and then get off and run that. Probably a good plan, as sometimes that is one more energy saving, and two, just faster. Sometimes it is faster and safer. Try and ride. As we can see, the third spraying up with that wet sand and the mud that is sticking. The course here draining very well, so not wet underneath, despite having rain for the last couple of weeks and it being very cold. The ground is solid underneath here and drains very well off this circuit, but with the rain coming down on the wet grass at the top, it's going to bud up. There is nothing you can do about that. As we're going to head over to this side of the course over here, have a look at these off cambers, and as we can see, a couple of riders just coming through the finish there, coming through the finishing straight, looking like they probably have another 2 or 3 laps to go before they get the finishing flag, and we see who is crowned the British Cyclocross National Champion for 2026. Hopefully the coverage for you all day is working off one camera on the 5G, and I'm trying to keep it as steady as possible, especially when moving around for you, and give a good high quality stream for everyone to see. It's cold, it's wet, there are gusts out here today, and it could not be more different from yesterday's racing, which we do have up on the channel ready to view as we wait for these riders now to come back into this field. Leader at the moment was Peggy Knox. The last time we saw, we're just waiting for her to go through, or someone else. We never know what's happened over that backside. It is slippy, it is slidey. We have seen some issues today, and it is cold out here. You can see these flags blowing. The camera really is not reflecting the wind out here today. It is freezing cold. As we look out, we can see riders riding around, but a very, very small field out here today, which is unfortunate. It is unfortunate for these junior girls, but I reckon numbers definitely down based off this weather. Looking like they've got 3 laps to go when they come through the line that time, so it'll be 2 laps to go for Peggy Knox when she comes through the line next time, and that will be 2 laps if she is in the lead. And bearing no mechanicals, she was looking strong and pulling away from the riders behind her. As we can see though, lovely venue, and the rain starting to ease now. Hopefully with that rain starting to ease, it'll make the riders a bit less cold. Potentially some more spectators will decide to come down from the local area to watch those elite races later on, which will be streamed on the channel. So don't forget to subscribe so you get notified when those streams are out. You'll be able to watch them here. We'll be here live streaming. Despite the conditions, despite the weather, we will be here streaming those races. As you can see, as we just wait for those riders to come back round. All the riders riding strong today though, absolutely freezing conditions. All the boys afterwards were moaning that it was absolutely freezing cold in their race, and that the rain combined with those gusts of 40-mile-an-hour winds were very cold and hard to push through, especially on that long straight into the sand. Peggy Knox now heads back into this field and is still in the lead with She has not got this wrapped up yet. She has a gap, and we'll get 2 laps to go as she comes through that finishing straight, but she has not got this wrapped up yet. That second place rider, 15 seconds back, but still in contention. If anything happens, you never know on these style courses. As she's now coming through, making light work of these technical sections. Will she choose to get off and run? Yes, she will. Probably a smart move. That is very slippy and very slick. Studs in today, I reckon, for these riders. Yesterday, definitely not worth it with the course being icy. You were only going to slip around on those metal studs. But today, with it being muddy and that top surface being muddy, those studs will grip in nicely for those riders. Studs in the shoes, I should imagine, to help them grip in and run up these steep banks. It is very cold out here today still though for the riders, with that rain and wind hitting you. It is very cold as we see Peggy Knox heading over the top there and down onto those banks. She still has that 15-second gap over the riders, and it is a substantially big gap for those 2 riders out the front there. Like I say, a good little battle there. Peggy Knox having the better of that second place rider at the moment, but you never know what can happen. It is cross, it is muddy, it is sliding. We have seen a few mechanicals cost people races today and places. That is a massive gap over the next riders now. So second and third, we are looking at over a minute and a half's gap now, as they're about to come down and through the finishing straight. And if we head down, we can have a look at this finishing straight and see how bad the conditions are down on this finishing straight. The weather is very bad and the rain has eased slightly, but it is still raining, it is still pouring, and this is cutting up for those elite men and women. Taking the gel. Looking like we're back on. Very sorry about that. The stream did seem to freeze up there, unfortunately. Not 100% sure what happened, but as they came through the line, Peggy Knox had a 15-second lead and was taking in a gel for that last couple of laps for the boost of energy as we are stood down here by the finish. Again, apologies for that freeze up. Hoping it isn't too bad for you all. It is tough out here when we are only running on this 5G signal, trying to get the stream up for you, especially with these weather conditions not helping. However, all the streams from yesterday have been re-uploaded and processed by YouTube and uploaded in the full quality they were filmed at. So hopefully you will be able to see those streams and re-watch those in between these races. And we will be also streaming the elite races live for free that you can watch here. Don't forget to subscribe, you'll be notified and you'll be able to see it. As we can now see, the 3rd place rider pulled out a bit of a gap over the 4th place rider now. They were in a bit of a battle, but this 3rd place rider are starting to pull out as they're heading over there, as we can see in the distance. Over the top, they're going to drop down into this velodrome, come through and take the lap board at 2 laps to go. as they now drop down. During this third place rider here, really putting down the power, but an absolutely massive gap for those riders. We are looking at well over a minute and a half here for those front two riders. But an awesome work for this third place rider. Superb work, and again now pulled himself out a big gap, looking at well over 20 seconds here now for that gap for that rider. So they have secured themselves a good gap, and bearing no mechanical, that looks like these places are now set, especially those front two, as Peggy Knox is heading through that sand, and that second place rider starting to look potentially a little bit laboured as they're heading into that sand through that headwind section. It is a really tough section of the course, as we see the fourth place rider just taking the 2 laps to go board. As I'm now walking around to try and get another view and angle of the course for you. One out here today, especially in these conditions, but these riders making light work and showing their skill and how good they are. We have the fifth from the commentator on site here today. He is providing a great commentary and a great atmosphere for the riders and the spectators out in this condition. As we are heading around to this top part of the course, that the riders in 5th and 6th place, I believe, are now heading through your screen, and they are really pushing as they come into this headwind. You blowing behind them. This is a tough race for them as they are heading around up the banks, taking nice lines there. These are steep banks they are heading up, steep little climbs for them, but they are making light work of these, and they are doing a really strong job. As you can see just over there, they have to ride up the velodrome, and if you have been to a velodrome, you know how steep this is. This is an outdoor velodrome, so this is the same angle as those indoor ones, and they are riding straight up. Yesterday at the top of that, it was very slidey. We were stood here filming, and it was icy at the top of that with the water, and it was starting to freeze. A lot of riders saying their back wheels slipping out. You can go and check that out on the YouTube channel. We have the live streams from yesterday up there. We also have interviews with the race winners on the Coeliac Cyclist Instagram page. If you want to go and check that out and drop that follow as well, that would be greatly appreciated. Here we have the 7th place rider. As you can see, very well spread out and not a very big field. Now, I have seen a couple of the girls drop out of this race due to being so cold and the weather conditions. It is really tough out here for these girls today, and they are doing a superb job at racing. As I say, unfortunately, we do have a small field here, so it is hard to have action on the singular camera all the time, but we are bringing the best footage we can to you, hopefully with a decent commentary. Hopefully the wind isn't too bad for you, but we do have there, that is the 4th place rider heading over the top there, really going into the hip. Struggling with that and heading into the sand to then ride the sand. He had a fantastic result today. We believe a top 15 result for him. Superb result considering he had a crash on the first lap and not such a great start. He really powered his way through, and a good show for the East. Yesterday, who took the British Champions jersey for the East, which is a superb result. So hopefully in the East region we will see her wearing that jersey sometime soon. We also had yesterday Theo Wan taking the win, another East rider who is comes racing the East a good majority of the time. Maybe the last 2 races of the season or next season we'll see him racing in that British Champs jersey, and he was delighted with that. There is an interview with him over on the Coeliac Cyclist Instagram page that you can go and have a look at. As we can see these riders coming through there, that rider just back there had an issue earlier on, has now moved away up into the top 10 of this race, which is a superb result. She had to run a good length of the course earlier, a good half a kilometre of the course, just to get herself into the pits after rolling the rear tyre on her bike she was riding. But she is now riding very strongly as she heads through this section. Well done, awesome riding. Real show of physical and mental mental strength there for that rider, running her way into the pits and not giving up in these brutal conditions with a long old way to run into the pits. It doesn't look that far when you're looking at it, but with the twists and turns in the course, it ends up being a long old way they have to run. As we see, the riders will come into the start-finish straight for 1 lap to go. As they come through, it is freezing out here, but we are bringing the best commentary to you that we can, and we will be streaming all the races live today. As here we have a rider, I think 10th place we have running through the camera there, and just followed closely by 11th. But we will be bringing all the races here live on YouTube for you today with the best quality stream we can for free. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You'll be notified when those races go live later on in the day. We will be here in the conditions, hopefully a bit less rain, a bit less wind for us here filming, but you never know. The poor British cycling guys with their cameras walking around having to wipe the lenses here, really struggling, and no tents or anything for them, just stood in the freezing cold. It is not nice weather for them. As you can see, we're looking down on the finishing straight, awaiting what I would assume would be Peggy Knox still in the lead. As I can see, it is. She is coming over the top, and she has doubled that gap she had now. After taking that gel, that energy will start to kick in, and she has really pulled out that gap now. She has a good 20-second gap over that second place rider now, looking more comfortable. She can keep it tidy around this section. She will come into the last lap with 1 lap to go, take the bell and just have a tidy lap, and she will take that British Champs jersey. But it's not over yet. That second place rider needs to keep fighting. We've already seen a couple of mechanicals today for different riders, so it's changed up the race before, it will change it up again, especially in these brutal conditions. As we can see in the distance, Peggy Knox right over the top of that climb. As she comes down, she is heading round that course, really showing her strength and how good she is on these technical sections. Having done well in the national scene this year in the national track, she is heading round the top. Considering she's also been racing over Belgium, results over there. She is racing really strongly now, as she's gonna with a slide off there though. That is showing how bad the course is and that anything can happen out here. It is not tied up yet. She might have 20 seconds, but it is not race over as yet. In cyclocross, a 20-second gap's good, but it is tough when you have conditions and anything can happen. Like I say, not many competitors out today, and not for these smaller fields in the morning for the junior men and women. However, we do have the races that will be on this afternoon. All the race timings are on the Coeliac Cyclist Instagram page, which you'll be able to follow and have a look at. They are on the story, all the timings for today's races. All the live streams are also scheduled on the YouTube channel, so you'll be able to see what time they start. And if you subscribe to the channel, you'll be notified when those go live, and you'll be able to watch all the action from the races for free on the channel. So don't forget to subscribe. As we can see, Peggy Knox coming over the top. I do believe the British Champs does combine Britain, England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales for the championships. I do believe we have riders from all over the country here. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I've never seen anyone riding in anything other than a British championship jersey. I've never seen a Scottish or a Welsh championship jersey, so I do believe this is all race combined. It is a very tough course around here today though. It is freezing cold. As we've just seen those leaders head over the top, they are about to come back towards us, head to the sandpit for the final time, and we will head down to the finish to see who will be crowned the British champion. they're coming down and riding along this velodrome. Very steep bank here. If you've ever been to a velodrome, it's not shown as well on camera. If you've been, you know how steep they are, and they're riding up that bank. It was icy yesterday, it's wet and slick today, and on those mud tyres that will not grip very well, but they are coming up and over the top of that and making it look easy, these front runners. As we can see, Peggy Knox now really driving into that windy section. You can see the flags blowing and you can see the power she is putting down to get through that section. She is flying along that straight now. That is fantastic work as she is about to come into that sand, and she is making light work of this. She is absolutely flying along with about 20 to 30 second gap as she just disappears over the hill. As we're going to zoom out, we will see her come out of the sand. Hopefully, as she comes up the hill, we'll see her come out of the sand. There is a big gap after this race as we see Knox come out of the sand now with a good gap. She is well opened up that gap now, but it is not over. You never know what can happen in these cyclocross races. We've already had a couple of offs, a couple of mechanicals here today that have cost people races earlier on in the junior boys, so you never know what's going to happen. This second place rider is still running very strong, but currently Penny leading out the race as she has taken the belt and is going to come round for her final lap and into the finish and take the finishing flag. As we have the third place rider now coming round this section here. That is a big gap back to third place now. Those front two positions, even bearing any form, are locked up. However, that third place rider now has a good 45 seconds over her next competitor, so she probably has a very secure place, bearing in a real disaster now. As you can see, riders coming straight now. Down there. Superb effort from all the riders out here today. It is freezing cold conditions. It is not nice standing here, but they are making an excellent job. Speaking to some of the junior boys after that last race, they're saying how cold it is out here. Absolutely freezing. As we can see, fourth place here coming through. Got a bit of a gap back to fifth place, but it's not secured yet. Fourth and fifth place having a real battle here. Potentially, we might see an exciting finish as we have fourth and fifth slightly locked in a battle and sixth and seventh right together, who are going to be working for those positions. All of the junior girls. We do also have all the coverage from the junior boys race on the channel if you didn't see that live, and we also have all the races from yesterday. You look out and try and spot some people from your local region on those streams if you want to make those throughout the break in between the races. British Champions jersey. As we are up here on the top, a nice view over all the media cameras, ready to get her coming into the finish. As we still have riders coming through, a very spread field here, with not many riders at all racing today. We are looking at around 25 in this field today. Bit of a shame that we don't have more, but based off the weather and the conditions, I can see why there might be less people coming out to this race. It is cold, it is wet. That finish straight is getting clogged up with mud now. However, we are approaching the end of the race as Peggy Knox is about to head back into the arena, as they are calling it, in the lead. We will see. She has had a big gap for the majority of it, as we will see her very shortly head into this arena and see if she is still in the lead. Yes, the wind out here very, very strong. Looking at 40-mile-an-hour winds out here today. It has been brutal with the rain. Once you're wet and you have those few hours, a lot of the junior riders complain about how cold they were after the racing. As we can see, Peggy Knox has come through the gate here, and she is coming through back into the corner and into this field. She is in the field and she still has a gap. Hopefully keeping it tidy, hopefully keeping it clean to finish, and she will take that jersey. She has a big gap still, a large, at least 20-30 second gap now, and she should take this jersey. It is not over yet though, there is still a rider behind chasing, and you never know what's going to happen in cyclocross. Another slide out for Peggy as she comes down here, dives and comes down into, as she gets off, ready to run. She is off and running up that climb just in the distance as she is ready to come into the finish and hopefully take that jersey. However, we still have just a little bit left and there could still be anything happen. But at the moment, looking like she has this one wrapped up, bearing no issue. She's running up those steps in the distance. She's ahead, of course, and she is going to come down into the finishing straight. Twist around on the off camber and then we'll come down into the arena, into the finishing straight. She looks like she has this one wrapped up. A good 20-30 second gap. It's an easy run up the finish now. No technical section. First lap. Collected, was able to take a gel with 3 laps to go, and she has made light work of this race and is looking like she will take that jersey as she is about to come down over the velodrome tarmac and head into the arena, into the finishing straight to take the win of today's race. If she does take the win, there will be an individual winner on the Coeliac Instagram page. Don't forget to go and drop that follow and listen to her thoughts on what she has to say after the race. But here she comes round the corner into the finish to take the British Champions national jersey. She has made this look far easier than it is, especially in these conditions. Here she is coming into the finish, going around with that wind, but here she is taking the win. Awesome work there from Peggy Knox as she comes round and into the finish. What a superb race from her. What a superb race, what a ride. She is going to be chuffed with that and to take the jersey once again. As here we come through, that's a lap rider, but in the pink helmet there, that is your second place rider who has taken second and had a superb ride, and they have an enormous third place riders. That is a big gap. That's the top two down here now. Having a hard, good sportsmanship from both of those riders. That is absolutely great work. As we now await for third place to come down into the arena. It is a big gap. Here we come with this third place rider now coming into the field. Going to head down. You will see this third place rider now who has come down into. They are here. They're riding round. As we can see, they're around that corner, heading down mental grit. It has been awful conditions out here today. I know I wouldn't want to race, and I'm glad I'm not racing in this weather conditions. However, these girls out here running strong and superbly fast, showing skills. As she has now just gone up the steps over the top, and she will head back down into this easy run into the finish, hopefully without any problems. She has a big gap despite anything. If anything can happen, she has got plenty of time. This will be our third race rider to take third in the National Junior Championships. But then we will have all of the other races live. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You will be able to watch them here for free, live on the channel, and you'll be notified. As she is coming along the top now, and she will drop down into the velodrome.
When the top 3 riders are in, we're going to go straight to the podium and we'll be doing interviews straight away. And then when the interviews are cleared for the live TV, we will be moving on to do the presentation after the interview. So here we go. This is Heidi Roscoe.
As we can see, Heidi Roscoe coming round the corner to take third place in this National Junior Women's Championships. What a superb ride from her. Still incredible achievement and great technical ability from her. She looks cold, she looks ready to get in and warm. Don't forget to join us later. I'm going to end the stream, but don't forget to join us later for those elite races. They will be live here for free and ready to watch.